Yo, what's going on everyone? It's me, it's Jinsula. I hope you're having a good day and welcome to today's Pokemon Go video. Alright, so this weekend is going to be the global version of Pokemon Go Fest 2024. And if you're not prepared for this event, you're gonna have yourself a miserable time. I really do think that when it comes to Pokemon Go Fest, it's probably the most important event every single year. So if you're not going to be missing out on this event, make sure you are best prepared with the tips that I'm going to be laying out in this video. I really do think that if you have the right preparations, you're going to have a really good time. I guarantee it, because for the last couple of Go Fests, I've always made sure to be prepared with the right items and having the right hardware. And that is because when it comes to Pokemon Go Fest, it can be quite an intense grind. And if you do not have enough of the right items, you're going to suffer throughout the event. And trust me on that, there were definitely times in the past where I would go into a Pokemon Go Fest and I would not have the right preparations. And because of that, I would struggle throughout the entirety of that event. So yeah, with that said, let's talk about how you could prepare for Pokemon Go Fest. I'm going to be talking about 3 different areas of preparation that you need to keep in mind, and I do think that all 3 of these areas are incredibly important. Let's first talk about the subjective stuff. So there are a couple of things with Pokemon Go that are always very important, but for Pokemon Go Fest, it's going to be especially important. The first of this is, of course, making sure you are in a robust community. If you're going out and trying to do Pokemon Go Fest alone, good luck. It's going to be very difficult. And if you're not in a robust community, you're not going to know where to go to get the best items and the best Pokemon. There are definitely places, even in rural areas, where there are going to be Pokemon Go hotspots. And these are the locations that you need to go to when it comes to Pokemon Go Fest. You will want to get as many spawns as you can possibly get. You will want to make sure there's plenty of gyms with raids going around the clock. And when it comes to those raids, you will want to make sure you have enough players available to do those raids because they are going to be some of the core aspects of Pokemon Go Fest. Therefore, if you have not done so already, you need to join a community. The best way you could do that is, of course, jumping on Niantic Campfire and just browsing the map around you and seeing if there is a community that you could join through Niantic Campfire. Speaking of which, see if you can coordinate with some different people to get a bunch of raids done and to play together at a specific location. For myself, I try to get a couple of friends together to play over at Chicago at Lincoln Park Zoo because it's one of the big hotspots when it comes to Pokemon Go Fest and Pokemon Go in general. So that's probably where I'm going to be this weekend when it comes to playing Pokemon Go Fest, and I really do think that it's always going to be a really good time because a lot of the major communities here in Chicagoland often go to that specific location when it comes to these sort of big events. So yeah, basically, make sure you get yourself into a big community as well as finding a good location for you to play Pokemon Go this weekend. But next up, let's talk about gameplay stuff that you need to prepare for. So one of the big things about Pokemon Go Fest is, of course, catching a whole bunch of Pokemon. Throughout the entirety of this weekend, you're going to be doing nothing but catching. And it's mainly because there's going to be a lot of rare spawns, there's going to be a lot of really cool shinies, and then of course, there's the collection challenges that they often throw at us during these big events. And when you complete those collection challenges, you get yourself a bunch of nice items and rewards, so you do not want to miss out on any of that. But of course, the big thing is that you will want to make sure you do not run out of Pokeballs. So before Pokemon Go Fest this weekend, make sure you go out and collect as many Pokeballs as you can. And try to catch minimally during this week so you do not drain all of your Pokeballs before the weekend. Now, one quick tip for getting a bunch of items really quickly is, of course, opening gifts. If you have a whole bunch of gifts just sitting in your friends list, then you should open them right now so that you can collect yourself a bunch of Pokeballs and various items that will be important for this weekend. And this is a super important tip, but you should open up bag space by deleting a bunch of unnecessary items before this weekend. These are items like raspberries and nanab berries, as well as evolution items. You will likely not be using these during Pokemon Go Fest, and you will be able to get them later on down the road after the event ends. You should really focus your bag space on just Pokeballs, raid passes, and different items like revives and potions, especially if you plan to raid. Those are the items that you should be stocking up on, and just deleting the unnecessary items so that you can save bag space to get even more of those essential items. Now, another thing along those same lines is that you should clear out your Pokemon storage. The thing is, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to have a full Pokemon storage, and it's going to be such a hassle during Pokemon Go Fest when you have to take a break and actually delete a bunch of Pokemon to make room for more Pokemon for you to catch. avoid that situation by deleting a bunch of Pokemon right now before the event starts. If you have a whole bunch of shinies from a previous community day that you do not plan to use, make sure you get rid of them. If you have a bunch of Pokemon that are just collecting dust, just transfer them and get the candy, because opening up a bunch of Pokemon storage is going to be essential before this weekend. Trust me on that, because you will want to make sure you have enough Pokemon storage to catch as many Pokemon as you can. Now, the third important gameplay tip is, of course, in regards to raid passes. I would say that you should not be spending raid passes during this week, even though we have the nice Ultra Beast event. And that is mainly because you will want to save those raid passes for this weekend. There's going to be a lot of raiding involved during Pokemon Go Fest this year. We have the fusion forms of Necrozma that are going to be in raid battles, and that's going to be how you get fusion energy. That's going to be more important than getting a bunch of Ultra Beast raids in during the week. So I would suggest that if you have raid passes, you hold on to them before this weekend. And if you need to buy raid passes, then I would suggest you do so right now within the Poke Shop. So yeah, those are the important gameplay tips going into Pokemon Go Fest. And finally, let's talk about some of the hardware that you should bring. On top of your phone being fully charged and ready to go on the day of Pokemon Go Fest, you should also invest in a portable charger. Here's a good one that I bought from Amazon. It was only about $60. It's an Anker phone charger. These are typically top of the line. Like, if you want yourself a really good phone charger that's reliable, then go with an Anker phone charger. Those are the brands that I've always been using. And I really do think that if you do not have a portable charger, you need to get one before this weekend. It's going to be a full day of grinding, and it's also in the middle of the summer, so a lot of places are going to have a lot of heat. And because of that heat, your phone is going to drain a lot faster than it usually does. So if you do not have yourself a portable charger, I would highly recommend you getting one as soon as possible, because it's going to be very important for this weekend. Now, the second bit of hardware that I suggest you get before this weekend is this little thing. It's a Pokemon Go Plus Plus. The reason why I say that you should have this device is because there are going to be many points during this weekend where you're not going to be catching Pokemon and focusing on different aspects of Pokemon Go, like raiding and battling and trading. So having this device going in the background is going to mean that you're going to be continuously catching Pokemon. And that's going to be important because that means you're not going to miss out on rare Pokemon as well as shinies, and it's also going to maximize your gameplay during this weekend. So yeah, a Pokemon Go Plus Plus is a very good investment, especially if you're someone who has been playing Pokemon Go long term. If you do not have one yet, I would highly suggest you get one as soon as possible. Yeah, these are the two main things that you should be bringing to Pokemon Go Fest this weekend. It's definitely going to make your gameplay feel a lot better. So yeah, these are some of the ways that I'm preparing for this weekend when it comes to Pokemon Go Fest. I think it's very important that you go into it with the best preparations, because if you are not well prepared, you're going to have a miserable time. And like I said, Pokemon Go Fest is probably the most important event of the year. That's typically when they give you a lot of super rare Pokemon, as well as a lot of potential to get shinies and candy. Yeah, it's a very important event, so make sure you're prepared for it and make sure you go out and have a lot of fun during the event. And that's going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts regarding everything that I talked about down below. Is there a particular tip that I completely missed that you think is very important? Make sure you share what that is in the comments, and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. If you found it to be informative and helpful, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that little bell so that you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And real quick, let me give a shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the contents of the channel, the best way you could do so is by joining my Patreon. If you become a paid Patreon member, you get a permanent spot on my in-game Pokemon Go friends list. So that means when it comes to remote raids or the friendship system, if you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. And if you want to support my channel in a different way, you could always do so by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms that you see on screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow. And that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.